Hello friends, good time. In previous videos, we talked about mental illnesses. Here we want to address the issue of mental illness and its effects. A mental illness is someone who stubbornly uses negative energy. On the other hand, a mental illness is someone who, when faced with severe problems, is unable to use the right methods and positive energy in the short term and instead turns to negative energies such as anger, hatred, and jealousy. This dependence on negative energies can lead to a psychological addiction to negative energy, such that the person will no longer be able to benefit from positive energy. Our main discussion here is to examine the effects of mental illness on those around them and future generations. A mental illness usually sees his family and those around him as a means to achieve his goals. With the continued use of negative energies, moral principles and emotions are put at his service and gradually disappear. One of the most important harms that a mentally ill person can cause is the negative effects on their children. As the primary caregiver, they fundamentally change their child's beliefs and cause the second generation, the most affected group, to suffer from mental illnesses. The most damage is observed in this generation. The third generation, that is, the children of the second generation, usually receive less damage but are still affected by mild mental illnesses. In the psychotherapy process, our focus will be more on the second and third generations, because the first generation is less willing to accept treatment due to its high resistance and strong dependence on negative energies. The first generation, which was healthy at first and then developed a mental illness, usually receives positive energy from those around them and exploits it. But the subsequent generations have grown up with this negative pattern from the very beginning, and all they know is negative energy and its imposed meanings. In previous clips, we explained that a mentally ill person usually uses methods such as psychological slavery or psychological hostage-taking to control their children and those around them. The most harm in this process is done to the second generation. Therefore, in the treatment stages, the person must first realize that they have been trapped in a psychological hostage-taking trap. The second stage involves identifying the damage caused by this dependency. In this stage, we analyze the negative meanings formed in the person's mind and teach them to identify negative energies and understand their effects. After this stage, the person usually develops a desire to take revenge on the cause of their illness due to years of using negative energy. This is where the third stage, namely, forgiveness, becomes particularly important. Forgiveness is one of the most difficult and time-consuming stages of treatment. This process can take months or even years, and if not done properly, the person may become a first-generation psychopath and pass on the pattern of harm to the next generation. Forgiveness is not just a moral or spiritual choice, but a cognitive therapeutic process necessary to achieve peace and psychological healing. This path requires awareness, patience, and practice. The final stage is release. In this stage, The person must learn to gain independence and begin an independent life. In this section, we will focus more on life skills, entering a healthy society, and separating from the psychopath. The person must first understand that they have been involved in an unhealthy attachment, then learn how to transform negative energy into positive energy. For example, anger must be transformed into forgiveness. Resentment and hatred must be replaced by empathy and companionship, and the person must use positive energy to improve themselves. In the release phase, the person will face new challenges, including feelings of weakness compared to healthy people and fear of entering a new world. Patience and support play a key role here. He should not be expected to return to a healthy society quickly, but should be allowed to walk slowly and confidently. One thing to keep in mind is a phenomenon called spontaneous relapse. At each stage of treatment, a person may experience a temporary decline due to psychological stress and feel that he is returning to his previous state. This should not cause despair, but is a natural part of the treatment process. Over time, the number of these relapses will decrease and the person will become stronger. In the end, it must be said that the greatest motivation to continue treatment is to see an improvement in the quality of life. When a person realizes that his life is getting better day by day and is moving away from the suffering and pain of the past, he will be more willing to continue the treatment path. In the next videos, we will go through each of these steps in detail. I hope you found this video useful.